Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supatantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Udapatakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथां विदं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखां विदंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पदे गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिने नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी मूकं करोति वाचालं भङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं योऽन्धः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूक्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नां अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणां नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं जयतं सुहृदो पङ्गोर्मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पादाम्बुजो राधामदनमोहनो तमादिदेवं करुणानिधानं तमालवर्णं सुहृदावतारम् अपार संसार समुद्र सेदं भजामहे भागवत स्वरूपम् परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्षीय क्षराय दे सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुमे गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा हरि ओम तत्सत् so welcome all the devotees for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam first canto first chapter text 18. अधाख्या ही हरिर्धीमन् अवतारा खतः शुभः लीला विधदत्त स्वैरम् ईश्वरस्यात्ममायया. Okay. Jiveshwari Mataji and Vivek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Antyakapi Harirdiman Avadara Kadaya Shubha Leela Vidhatha Soidyam Ishwaran So Atma Mayaya.
Translation.
Translation. O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations, such auspicious adventures and pastime of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers.
Very bold. Oh, wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations, such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. So what is telling? Please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnation. So sages of Naimisharanya is requesting Siddha Goswami to explain about the Leela Avatar, transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead, okay, who came in this material world in different incarnations as called Leela Avataras. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. All these pastimes, all these avataras coming to this material world to perform different leelas for giving pleasure to his devotees. Okay. And these are performed by his own internal purpose. That's what he says. So for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material worlds, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead himself appears in many thousands of forms of incarnations. And the specific adventures found in those transcendental forms are all auspicious. Both those who are present during such activities and those who hear the transcendental narrations, such activities are benefited. So all are benefited by listening to the different pastimes, different leelas of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he comes in different forms at different intervals. Okay, who are present during that time and who listens to these pastimes by hearing, by reading, by discussing. So they're all benefited by. So what is the benefit that we get by hearing such pastimes? What is the benefit that we get? Vivek Prabhu, what is the benefit that we get by hearing such pastimes?
We understand slowly we have to change our mind to Krishna Prem. So slowly hearing to this kind of kathas, we understand that how gopis they were in Krishna Prem, how to like Manjari, you have talked about Manjari, how to change ourselves into into that platform so that we can achieve the Krishna Prem.
Okay, that is ultimate goal. But by listening such transcendental narrations and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, we slowly and gradually gets purified. Because as of now, we are contaminated with so many anarthas. So purification starts. So getting Krishna Prema is ultimate goal. There is no doubt. But it's a process. Gradually it happens. So as we keep listening to such pastimes, as we engage our senses in such devotional activities, so the purificatory process starts. And as we intensify our devotional service, then ultimately the end goal is Krishna Prema. So this is for our own benefit because purification starts. The purification of heart, because it is contaminated, isn't it? And suppose our body is full of dirt. Okay, so many days we did not take bath, and it is stuck to our body. So in one bath, it will not go. Every day, as we take bath, slowly and gradually, all the dirt will disappear. Similarly,
so
yes, Prabhuji.
That is the first thing to clear our ourselves.
Yeah.
Our doubt. Things. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So that's why the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, requesting Siddha Goswami, please explain to us in details different avataras, the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who comes at frequent intervals. For what? 3 reasons. The Supreme Lord incarnates for mainly 3 reasons. The main 3 reasons, external reasons are Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge. In each and every millennium, he comes to protect the devotees, to save the devotees, right? And to annihilate the miscreants and to re-establish dharma. Because over a period of time, dharma gets diluted. It will be destroyed by the demonic people. So Lord has to sometimes comes, he has to come himself or he sends his representative. Over and above that, the main reason of his descending to this material world is to give pleasure to his devotees. That's the main purpose. See, re-establishing dharma, killing the demons, and saving the devotees, he can do it even sitting from the but he wants to involve in loving exchange with his pure devotees. So he comes here, isn't it? Now, our children are in America, for example. Okay, we are every day talking to them on mobile, on Zoom, on WhatsApp. We are seeing them also. That's not enough, isn't it? But when they come personally and physically associate, how much pleasure we derive, isn't it? So the Lord sitting there, He's helping us in different ways, but that doesn't bring happiness in us. When He comes personally, interact with us, and deals with us in a very loving mood, that's totally different scenario, isn't it? Just like when the children comes physically and serving us and exchanging the loving relationship, that's totally a different mood. They may be calling us on a daily basis on telephone, but that's not enough. We don't have a very good happy time just simply by talking on telephone, isn't it? But when they come personally, when we interact and when we exchange that loving relationship, how much bliss and happiness that we derive is, we cannot explain that. So that is why the Lord Himself comes to give association to His pure devotees and give happiness to His pure devotees. Otherwise, sitting there, He can perform all these activities. So the esoteric reason, the internal reason of His coming personally to this material world is that He wants to give bliss and pleasure and happiness to His pure devotees. Is it okay? Is it clear?
Yes, yeah. Also, one thing is there, like Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that I have nothing to do in this Triloka.
Yes.
But why I come and I do the work? Because if people who are, who shows the path, is like he is showing the path, that he is also going through the difficulties. He is also, so that people follow him.
Yes, actually, he has no business in this material world. He is aloof from all these material activities. His external energy is taking care of everything under his supervision. But for the purpose of giving happiness to his pure devotees, he comes personally.
Yes.
That's the reason.
Yes.
Is it clear? Hare Krishna, Mayur Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam, Prabhuji.
So we'll move on to the next verse, text 19. Vayam tu na vitripyama uttama shloka vikrame yes srinvadam rasajnanam swadu swadu pade pade. Okay, Mayuri Mataji and Rajesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Vayam tu na vitrapyam uttama shloka vikrame yakshanvatam rasagyanam swadu swadu pade pade.
Very bold. Rajesh Prabhu, translation please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
We never tire of the hearing the transcendental pastime of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayer. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationship with Him release hearing of His pastimes at every moment. Hare Krishna.
Very bold. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with Him relish hearing of His pastimes at every moment. That we have seen. Okay, so we are chanting the Hare Krishna mantra for ages. How many years we are chanting? How many devotees have been chanting? Since time immemorial, they are chanting this mantra. Are they getting fed up? Are they getting tired of? No, we don't get tired of, because it gives more and more bliss and happiness to us, to our minds, isn't it? Whereas when we read a story or mundane story, or novel, how many times will we read? Once, twice, thrice, 5 times, 10 times, not more than that. We'll keep that book. Newspaper, only once. After that, next day we are using for prasadam distribution. we don't keep it. But Bhagavad Gita, we have been, reading for the last minimum 5,000 years. People are reading. Are they fed up? No. They find more and more happiness by reading again and again. They get more and more realization by reading that. Okay. So that's why the sages are telling Siddha Goswami, we never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of Krishna devotee. The more you read, the more they relish. The newer and newer realizations they experience, isn't it? Okay. So how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is glorified by hymns and prayers given in the Shastras. And those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationship with him relish hearing this pastime every moment. Every moment. So there is no time that we don't relish. So 24 hours a day also, if we are reading, we'll be relishing. But unfortunately, why we don't relish 24 hours? Because we have so much dirt in our mind. It is not pure now. When the mind and heart is pure, then 24 hours also we are enjoying. See, all the acharyas, all the Goswamis, they are enjoying 24 hours. They don't have any mundane business. They don't participate in any material activities. They are always Krishna conscious, always chanting or reading or hearing this. They don't get fed up. Why? We cannot do that. We cannot imitate them because we have so much anarthas in our mind. That has to be cleansed. So as we clean those anarthas, the taste for hearing such kathas, pastimes, will increase also. So as explained in the earlier verse, the purification starts gradually. So once we are totally purified of the anarthas, then we will be in a position to hear 24 hours pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why we have different devotional activities. Minimum 16 rounds, then we'll do deity worship, then we'll read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, then we will do some other activities. Okay, so like that 24 hours, directly or indirectly, we are doing devotional service. We are remembering Krishna. Even while working the office, at the back of the mind, we can remember Krishna. We cannot stop the work, but in mind we can remember. Nobody stops us. Is there anybody who can enter our mind and checking what this person is thinking? No. So we may be physically doing some material activities, but in our mind we can always remember Krishna. That's why Krishna is telling to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmaran Idhyaja. Okay, think of me and fight. Fighting is your duty. You are a Kshatriya, you are a prince, you are a ruler, you are an administrator. You have to uphold the dharma. So your duty is to fight. So while fighting, what you do is you remember me. Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmaran. Think of me and fight. So this is, so even though we may be engaged in material activities, we can still remember Krishna in our mind. So that is Krishna consciousness. That is how we can become 24 hours Krishna conscious. So even while doing material activities, we are Krishna conscious. This is what it says. So there is a great difference between mundane stories, fiction or history, and the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The histories of the whole universe contain references to the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord. Okay. So Prabhupada says in the purport that there's a lot of difference. What is the difference? That between the mundane stories, fiction or history, and the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. So the histories of the whole universe contain references to the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord. The Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas are histories of bygone ages, recorded in connection with the pastimes of the incarnation of the Lord, and therefore remain fresh even after repeated readings. So one should not mistake that all these Mahabharata, Ramayana, and such Puranas are all mythologies. It's not mythology. These are all histories, what has happened in the bygone ages. And we will never get tired of reading such, because it is about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His pure devotees. So whenever we read that, we relish and we get more and more realization. It will be fresher and newer every time we read that. So, for example, anyone may read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly throughout his whole life, and yet find in them new light of information. Haven't we experienced that? We may have read many times Bhagavad Gita, but the more we read, the more we realize newer and newer things, isn't it? But in mundane fictions or stories, what do we find? It is juiceless. Once we take the juice of an orange, it's dry. We have to just discard it. Even if you chew that peel, you don't get any juice. But here, you are enjoying the juice again and again. So that's the difference between the mundane literature and the transcendental literature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mundane news is static, whereas transcendental news is dynamic. In as much as the spirit is dynamic and the matter is static. Just like the comparison is given here, just like the Atma, okay, the spirit is conscious and the body is dead matter. Because the spirit is there, the body feels rejuvenated, lively. Okay. The moment spirit goes, the Atma goes, it is a dead matter made up of Panchabhuta, Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kam. Okay. So the spiritual literature is compared to the spirit, and the material literature is compared to the matter, that is Panchabhuta, which is static. Just like when we, as I told you, when we take the juice out of an orange, the peel doesn't give any taste, no juice. Similarly, from the mundane literature, once you read, finish. You cannot read it anymore, any longer. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. It's a ripened fruit of Vedic literature. Isn't it? It's always very, very tasty. A mango which has no seed, no skin. Just imagine, only juice and juice. So that is Srimad Bhagavatam. It's always giving us nectar. So those who have developed a taste for understanding the transcendental subject matter are never tired of hearing such narrations. One is quickly satiated by mundane activities, but no one is satiated by transcendental or devotional activities. So by performing mundane activities, we get fed up, bored, once, twice, thrice. Okay, you tell a joke, once, twice, thrice, we will laugh. The same joke is repeated. Will we laugh? No. We are listening to Narasimha Avadara or Gajendra Moksha, or we are reciting Kunti prayers or Bhishma prayers or Prahlada prayers, Dhruva prayers. Okay, how much and joy, we are overjoyed by repeatedly hearing that. It's never satiated. So that's why it is mentioned, we get satiated by reading these mundane subject matters. Whereas when we read or when we discuss, what happens, just like in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Matchitta Madgada Prana, Bodhayanda Parasparam, Kathandascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. They relish. Whenever they discuss about the pastimes and activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotees relish. They want to discuss more and more. So that is the difference between, it's just a gulf of difference. So, Uttama Shloka indicates that literature which is not meant for nation. Uttama Shloka is about the Uttama Purusha. Okay. So, the Uttama Purusha is glorified by Uttama Shloka, the choicest of words. Okay. It is not to be used for mundane purpose. Mundane literature is in the mode of darkness or ignorance, whereas transcendental literature is quite different. Transcendental literature is above the mode of darkness, and its light become more luminous with progressive reading and realization of the transcendental subject matter. The so-called liberated persons are never satisfied by the repetition of the words Aham Brahmasmi. Okay. Aham Brahmasmi. What is that? I am that. I am that. I am that spirit. Such artificial realization of Brahman becomes hackneyed, and so to relish real pleasure, they turn to the narrations of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Simply by repeating Aham Brahmasmi, you don't get any happiness. Unless and until you actively participate in discussing and glorifying the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead, which are narrated very nicely by Srimad Vyasadeva, Sri Vyasadeva, in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and such literatures. So those who are not so fortunate turn to altruism and worldly philanthropy. Altruism and philanthropy are all services to the mankind. Services to the mankind in helping them get roti kapda makan. This is altruism and philanthropy. So by that also you get satisfaction, but you don't get the satisfaction that you get by discussing pastimes and different activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this means the Maya of the philosophy is mundane, whereas the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental. So even though we are reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and such literatures, we end up doing these philanthropical activities. You have not really understood the essence of Bhagavatam. Yes, we have to do that. Philanthropy is good, altruism is good. But apart from that, what is highest is Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, discussing, glorifying, teaching, patan, vicharan. We should do all these things. So this is highest. So giving this to others is the highest welfare activity as instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who is none other than Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, is Avatari. So what is the best welfare activity? Giving Krishna consciousness to others. That is the best welfare activity. All others, philanthropical activities are temporary. You may give food to some people for some days, philanthropical activities, or you may give some money to some people for some days. You may give one house to some people. But these are all temporary. But the transformation of the heart takes place only when we come in contact with Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and with pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They alone can transform our consciousness from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. All other things like giving money, giving food, giving charity for the bodily, it's all temporary. That is not a permanent solution. That's also required. But beyond that, what is the best is giving Krishna consciousness to the people. So that is what Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is teaching us. One should not end up in doing only philanthropical activities, after studying Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. That is not the ultimate goal of studying Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. The ultimate goal is to go back home, back to Godhead, after purifying our, contaminated consciousness. So this is the purpose. So to that end, to that direction, we should help others. Hare Krishna. So any questions or any comments?
So Prabhuji, on
Yeah.
text 18,
Yeah.
on text 18, you're asking question that why Lord is coming in different incarnation to devotees, to explain that one. Text
Yeah.
19, we are talking about the, like we are praising Lord, we do not get satisfied. So many times we are getting satisfaction.
Yeah.
So text 18 and text 19. So text 18 we have discussed about why Lord came in a different incarnation. Then
Now,
that is the only.
Now the answers for all these questions will be in the subsequent chapter.
The subsequent chapter. That is why I'm not
Yeah.
able to.
So this is not an answer. Okay. Now here in this chapter, all the questions are being asked. Mainly the 6 questions. So the answer to these questions will be in the subsequent chapter in different shlokas.
Okay.
Okay. So in brief, but the throughout Bhagavatam, answers to these questions are given in detail. So
Okay.
basically, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam are the answers for these 6 prime questions. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
So the Lord comes and gives exchange the along with the to give happiness and bliss to his devotees, isn't it? So there's a story, we know Akbar and Birbal. Okay, Mr. Jyoti, there is a story. Akbar and Birbal. Akbar is the king and Birbal is the minister. They are very close. Although Akbar is king and Birbal is minister, they are very close. They always exchange jokes and everything. That is the position that they have. So once Akbar asked Birbal, your God, always comes down. Why he has to come down? Look at us, he never comes down. He sends his prophets, messengers and all. But only your God comes down. Why he has to come down? Can't he manage sitting there in the heaven? So Birbal did not answer anything. He kept quiet. So when the time comes, I will explain to him. I will show him why exactly he is coming down to, to this material world. So next day, there was a boat festival. It was arranged for the members of the kingdom and the ministers and all these people, important people. So many boats were there. They were all going in different boats. So Birbal requested Akbar, please, I will take your grandson also along with me. Okay. So Birbal, along with the grandson of Akbar, they were in one boat, and king and his family in one boat, and other ministers in different boats. They were all enjoying this picnic of going in the boat in the lake. So as they were going, so Birbal was taking care of the grandson of Akbar very nicely, was fondling with him, and so seeing that, Akbar was very happy. Oh, this person is loving my grandson very nicely. I should give him some inam, some gift. So when he comes back, I will give him, because he's taking care of my grandson very nicely. He was thinking in his mind. After some time, what he's seeing, Akbar is seeing that Birbal is taking this grandson and just threw him in the river. He was totally shocked. What did he do? Why is he doing that? Immediately jumped out of the boat. Akbar jumped out of the boat and swam across, and he is reaching his grandson so that he can save him. So as he reached, he made out that it is not his grandson. It is a putli. It's a doll looking like the grandson. Then he was very much annoyed. Why is he doing this prank to me? Okay. And he was so annoyed. So he came out and he asked Birbal, why you are doing this prank to me? What made you to do this? Why you are playing with me like this? No, I really lost my heart because my very, very intimate, very closely connected, very affectionate grandson, you are throwing. I thought that way. But why did you play this prank to me? Then he said, Birbal said, so many ministers were there, so many of your servants were there. Why you did not instruct them to save your child? Why you yourself jumped into the river and tried to save your son? This is the answer for your question you asked me yesterday.
Yes, Prabhu.
Because Lord himself came to protect and save his devotees. He could have sent. Because so much that relationship is so thick, that affection and love is so intense. Akbar did not even think twice. He immediately jumped. He could have instructed the ministers, other servants, isn't it? So similarly, here the relationship between the devotees and the Supreme Personality of God is so thick, intense. So he himself comes to give pleasure to his devotees and save his devotees. So this is a story. I thought I'll just share this. So
Nice
it's
story.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, it's a nice story.
So text 20. Krutavan kila karmani saharamena keshava adi martyani bhagavan gudha kapata manusha Okay. Hare Krishna. Vandana Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
कृतवान किल कर्माणि सहरा मेड़ केशवा अति मर्त्यानि भगवान गूढ़ा कपट मानुषः.
Very good. Mayuri Mataji, translation please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balrama, played like a human being, and so must he perform many superhuman acts.
Very good. Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balrama, played like a human being, and so must he perform many superhuman acts. So Sri Krishna and his first expansion, Lord Balram, came together to this material world to perform different leelas. And how they acted, just like an ordinary human being. But still, they disguise themselves as human beings. And they performed many superhuman activities, which the ordinary human beings cannot perform. So the doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism are never applicable to Sri Krishna or the personality of Godhead. The theory that a man becomes God by dint of penance and austerity is very much rampant nowadays. Okay, so here it is said, people, they are acting as God. Okay, many of them nowadays, especially in the age of Kali, many people think that they are God. They act themselves as God and cheat the innocent public. That's why Prabhupada says much rampant nowadays. Simply by doing some austerities and penances, they can never become God. Isn't it? So since Lord Rama, Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were dictated by the sages and saints to be the personality of Godhead, as indicated in revealed scriptures, many unscrupulous men have created their own incarnations. So we know who all are the authorized incarnations. In Bhagavatam, 22 incarnations are listed. And apart from that, there are many incarnations also. The main incarnations are there. At least there will be some clue. Who can be incarnation? Any Tom, Dick, and Harry cannot become incarnations, isn't it? But nowadays that's happening. People with some mystic power, there will be some followers, they will make that person God, incarnation. So that's what is happening nowadays. So people get cheated. Srila Prabhupada says there are two types of people, cheater and cheated. cheaters and the cheated. There are the two types of people. So this process of concocting an incarnation of God has become an ordinary business, especially in Bengal. So why Prabhupada is mentioning Bengal? Because he is from Bengal and he has experience of such people. During Bhakti Vinod Thakur's times, there was a Falgu Baba who was, declaring himself as Vishnu. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he fought with him, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam and, opened his complete, and he was caught by the police, and he actually left his body while in jail. He disclosed everything, all his secrets, and he was declaring himself as God. So such gods, such man-made gods are there, especially in the age of Kali. So they will declare themselves, I am incarnation of so and so. I am incarnation of Lord Rama. I am incarnation of Lord Krishna. Okay, there are so many. I don't want to name them. There are so many. People are being misled and misdirected by such false incarnations, pseudo incarnations. So he was actually the personality of God from the very beginning of his appearance. He appeared before his so-called mother as four-armed Vishnu. So Srila Prabhupada says in this purport that Lord Vishnu or Krishna, he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, not out of a sudden. He has not become, by some mystic power or some penances or austerities. He is from the beginning. He appeared in front of Mother Devaki and Vasudeva as four-armed Vishnu form. And at the request of the parents, he became as baby Krishna. So he became like a human child and at once left her for another devotee at Gokula, where he was accepted as the son of Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda Mata. So immediately after he transformed himself to baby Krishna, he was instructed by him, Vasudeva was instructed by him to take baby Krishna to Gokula and exchange with a baby girl born of Yashoda Maya. So in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his birth and deeds are transcendental and that anyone who is so fortunate as to know the transcendental nature of his birth and deeds will at once become liberated and eligible to return to the kingdom of God. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvadaha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti. So Arjuna, so those who understand the philosophical truth, okay, in Tattva, about the appearance and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will never take birth again in this material world once they leave from this material world and go back home, back to Godhead. So that is the benefit of understanding, his birth and his appearances in truth, in Tattva. So they are eligible to go back home to Godhead. So knowledge of the transcendent nature of the birth and deeds of Lord Sri Krishna is sufficient for liberation. For our liberation, that is sufficient by understanding the tattva of his appearance and activities. In the Bhagavatam, the transcendent nature of the Lord is described in 9 cantos, and in the 10th canto, his specific pastimes are taken up. So till 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the different activities of the Supreme Lord are detailed. So once we know the opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, okay, once we know the greatness of the Supreme Lord, then we will be able to understand and relish his pastimes given in the 10th canto. So if we don't know the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's very difficult for us to digest what he is doing. About his activities and pastimes that is described in the 10th canto. So in order for us to digest that, understand that in Tattva, we should know his greatness. For that, systematically we should read Srimad Bhagavatam starting from 1st canto through 10th canto. So all this becomes known as one's reading of this literature progresses. So this will be automatically revealed to all of us. will be understood automatically as we progresses in reading Srimad Bhagavatam canto by canto, starting from first canto till 10 canto. In 10 canto, his pastimes, superhuman activities are detailed. So it is important to note here, however, that the Lord exhibited his divinity even from the lap of his mother. That his deeds are all superhuman. He lifted Govardhana hill at the age of 7. Who can do this activity? Okay, Govardhana, now it is around 21 kilometers, length and breadth, I don't know. So such a huge hill was carried by his left hand little finger for 7 days and 7 nights. Any mortal being can do that? No, it's not possible. So such superhuman activities he performed when he was child, just at the age of 7. And so many such activities, killing of so many demons, are all done when he was child. Now all these acts definitely prove him to be actually Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, due to his mystic covering, he was always accepted as an ordinary human child by his so-called father and mother and other relatives. Even though he did so many superhuman activities, his mother, father, and all the Brajavasis thought that he is an ordinary child. Why? Because of that intense love eclipsed his opulences. So they could not make out the greatness and opulences as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of the love and affection that they had with Lord Krishna. This love and affection eclipsed the opulences and greatness of Krishna. So that's why they never felt that Lord Krishna or baby Krishna, who is playing in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is what it's mentioned. So whenever some Herculean task was performed by him, the father and mother took it otherwise. Okay, what they thought that, and they remained satisfied with unflinching parental love for their son. As such, the sages of Naimisharanya describe him as apparently resembling a human being, but actually he is a supreme almighty personality of Godhead. So Yashoda Maya, Nanda Maharaja, and all the Vrajavasis took it lightly. Maybe some demigod or working through him and making him do all these activities, but they never thought that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why the sages of Naimisharanya is describing the Supreme Lord as resembling to a human being, ordinary mortal being like all of us. But actually he is the Supreme Almighty Personality of God. But in fact, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one without a second, okay, from whom everything emanates. Aham sarvasya prabho mata sarvam pravartite iti matva vajante mam kudabhava saman. Everything emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. He is the source of everything, of both the spiritual and the material existence. Because people are, especially the people in Braja is covered by the Yogamaya potency. They don't understand him or they don't treat him as a supreme person. And that is what Lord also wants. He doesn't want to be treated as God, because he wants to relish the loving exchanges in the parental mode, in the conjugal mode, and in the friendly mode, that is as Sakha, as Dasya, Shanta, all these different mellows he wants to enjoy with his devotees. There are, how many types of mellows are there? Shantarasa, Dasyarasa, Sakhirasa, Vasalarasa, and Madhurasa. So you want to enjoy all the rasas with the inhabitants of Braja. So if they know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how can they exchange in different rasas? They all will see him as Supreme Lord with awe and reverence. There will be no conjugal love, there will be no parental love, there will be no, Sakhya, Dasya, nothing will be there. So you will not enjoy. You want to enjoy all these mellows. So that's why he covers himself and he pretends to be an ordinary human being, just like one among them. So this is what this sloka means. So both Lord Sri Krishna and Balarama appeared and performed many superhuman activities. Even though they performed so many superhuman activities, they never thought that they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They treated them as one among them, and they were relishing the pastimes with the Supreme Lord. Okay, so next is text 21. So we'll stop here. We'll take this in the next. Okay. So please, please you also please note. 21. Okay, we'll continue from next class. Hare Krishna Vancha Kalpatarubhesya Kripa Sindhubhyo Cha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Ananta Kodi Vaishnav ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Stop.